Welcome back to the seventh episode of Conversations with Musicians. Today I am here with the Canadian drumming legend. He's a Juno nominated artist. This is Greg Alsop from Tokyo Police Club and Delta Underground. Yeah, is your studio like a house or like
It's just my
that?
basement. I'm in it right now. Yeah, it's kind of here I can kind of spoon over. That's just kind of my control room. I just threw some panels up and then um that's kind of the lounge area for when I do have artists coming over to work with. So yeah, it's just a nice little L-shaped spot that sounds pretty good and is separated enough from the rest of the house that it doesn't I mean, if I'm really going at it for a long time, there'll be a point when I come up and get a glass of water and it's like, you still working on that? Yeah. So everyone hears you, but it's part of the deal. You married a drummer, so it's kind of it comes with it. And thankfully, my wife's dad was a musician as well. He was a bassist in a band, and so she was used to like a lot of noise going on. She can tune it out pretty well.
How did you get into drumming then? Because I was talking to Travis. He said you
Yeah,
guys obviously had the same drum teacher when you were
yeah,
younger.
Jesse. Yeah, we Jesse was a teacher at the local music store, the Arts. There, I got into drumming. It was kind of through piano lessons. I had an amazing piano teacher growing up who he had a piano, but he also kind of had a home studio. So we'd go over there and we'd go through the conservatory stuff for half of the lesson. And then the other half of the lesson, he would let me write songs, play around with synthesizers. He had like a very rudimentary like DAW set up there on his Mac. So we'd be able to record songs in there. He taught me about MIDI, and he also had an old Yamaha drum pad. It was like kind of like one of those like white ones from the 90s. And so I was really like, I always loved just going over to the drum pad and just kind of whacking at it when I was 9, 10, 11 years old. And eventually, when I got into school band in grade 6, uh, you could either go into like the clarinet or trumpet, but you could audition to be a drummer. And so I practiced on that practice pad and built a bad drum kit out of a practice pad and a bunch of those like plastic like ice cream tubs that they used to have for like
Oh
the
yeah.
PC band. Yeah, I had those, and I'd like set those up with connects and like wooden like dowling rods and stuff, and I made like a makeshift like practice pad drum kit, and I practiced for hours just on that to audition for the school band and got in as one of the drummers. And so that was kind of the start of drumming for me. And yeah, school band, and then I started taking private lessons through Jesse, the same instructor who Travis from the Owens had. And that was kind of it. That was the start of it. I stopped for a while in high school. I For a couple of years I had tendonitis in my wrists, so I had to kind of ease back on music in general, and then started drumming again when I met the guys in Tokyo Police Club. They were a couple of years younger than me in high school, but we were in a high school musical together. Um, and I met Graham and Josh there, and they introduced me to Dave, and then we started jamming together, and the band was kind of born out of that.
That's cool. So yeah,
Yeah,
you guys are all in high school together.
yeah, we were all in high school together. Yeah, they were in grade 10 when I was in grade 12, but they needed a drummer, and I wanted to start drumming again, and I really liked the music that they were starting to work on. So we yeah, we kind of came out of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. But like, do your hands still bug you too? Because I feel like I've been experiencing that recently,
Oh, really? It's
and I'm
scary
like,
when it happens.
yeah,
Yeah, it's I they used to bug me a lot when we first started touring, especially whenever I was sometimes on tour, but a lot of times during recording. Just because you're drumming for hours and hours and hours on end. And I noticed at like the end of it, that I would have some of the symptoms come up again. So I spent a lot of time um, relearning and unlearning bad technique for good technique in kind of the first 5 or so years of when the band was really starting to take off and get busy. I was using a French grip for a long time, and that was really bad on this kind of tendon area right there. So I changed to a match grip, and that helped a lot. And then I spent a lot of time repositioning my kit around and finding just kind of the optimal place for every drum. And kind of ever since then, um, I haven't really experienced it, but I warm up a lot now before every show. I do a lot of stretching. I do ice baths after we play, just to kind of cleanse out all the all the buildup that happens during a show. So I'm really careful about it now, because it when it does start to happen, it gets really it's very debilitating and frightening. It feels like it could all just kind of get taken away.
yeah. I was looking into like My Chemical Romance drummer
Mm.
recently, and I never realized how bad his hands were. I was like, oh my God, that's scary.
Oh, does he have really bad tendonitis too?
Yeah, I put like I don't know if you know them well, like the whole Black Parade album from
Hmm.
probably like 2007 or eight.
Yeah, I
Apparently,
love
he
that
just
album.
got way worse like throughout their
Oh,
world
really?
touring and stuff. I think he's out of the band now.
Oh, really? Oh, God, I got. It's so sad when you hear that happening, and it is so scary. It could really happen. I mean, I had a instructor here, Alan Dowling, who is an incredible drummer, and he came over right when I first kind of moved to Charlottetown, and I did a few sessions with him where he just watched me drum and just kind of gave me advice. And his main thing was just relax. And I've been, a tense drummer my entire time playing the drums. I remember when we first played Pop Montreal back in like 2005. It was the band's like first real show ever. The drummer in another band came up, and he's just like, after our set, he like took my shoulders and just went like, just lower your shoulders, just like you're like this the whole time. You're gonna kill yourself doing that. It looks like you're like an old man already, just like hunched over. And so after like, that and other people like kind of mention it to you, you start to kind of internalize that environment. You think like, okay, I am like using a lot of energy right now, and I am extremely tense when I'm playing. So that's I've been trying to over the last few years just like continually like check in with myself when I'm playing and just go like, hey, where are you tense right now? Could you kind of relax that? Can you take a breath right now? Can you ease up over here? Are you starting to kind of like grip the sticks too hard? Can you kind of loosen that? And that's helped a lot. Just kind of learning to um, go with the flow, just kind of keep everything up in the air more, just stay really like nimble, almost like dance with the drums a little bit, if that makes sense, where it's like, because you can't like dance if you're all like stuck like that unless you're doing like the robot or something. So just like kind of letting it like, yeah, like groove,
Yeah.
just like just feel the music and just like let my shoulders like get into it, let my body get into it and not feel so just like uptight.
Yeah, even like stretching, I think is the huge difference there. The ice
Huge stretching.
baths.
Oh
I'm
my God,
picturing you
stretching
like
is
going into like a dunk in a trailer after.
just the wrist. Yeah, we're not famous enough yet to afford a whole cold plunge on Ryder. But
Everyone's got
yeah,
their own
just to,
section.
yeah, exactly. We all just kind of, yeah, go into a cryogenic freeze. Yeah.
One day, maybe.
Maybe one day I'll push for it. Yeah, it's either a 2 for a beer or a proper, yeah, ice plunge. Mhm.
For a Delta Underground specifically, it's kind of going way off topic.
No,
But
it's all right.
I read that you guys made all the sounds yourself, which I thought was super cool because I'm like, most people don't do that in that genre of music,
Yeah, I would say
especially for
like,
drums. So I was like, whoa.
I mean, I wouldn't say we used them all ourselves. Like we would take samples and we'd manipulate them and we'd record things and we would process them. We didn't use a lot of like presets or things out there, and we did a lot of live playing within the songs as well. So I mean, it's not like I wouldn't say we did it all with like found
Maybe for
sounds or
drums.
created sound. For the drums, yeah, we did some like live drumming within there, and then a lot of like program stuff within there. It's very hybrid. Um, we hooked up with an amazing bassist, Christian Attard, who played based on Where the Wild Things Are, who's just incredible. Just one of the greatest bassists I've ever seen. He's touring. I don't know who he's touring with right now, but he was touring with Megan Trainor for a while, and then he moved on
Oh wow.
to play with Sugar Ray and oh my God, Smash Mouth when they were doing a tour together. And he's just an incredible bassist. And when you find like musicians like that, it's just like it adds so much life to the music, and it's so nice to just like bring a track to somebody and just go like, just play on this, just we'll just loop it 12 times and just like play your heart into it and just find these little like nuggets of gold in there. Yeah, it's a, I don't know, I think like because Mike and I both come from a musical background and not necessarily from a production background, that was just how we knew how to make that kind of music. We like being in the studio. We like picking up guitars. We like playing synths. We like playing around with sounds. We like really setting things up and discovering things. And it was more intuitive for us to do that than program things and go the kind of traditional EDM route. And not that anything's wrong with the traditional EDM stuff. I love EDM. I love, the more I've discovered what a DAW can do and what you can do with effects and plugins and sampling and programming. I mean, it's a huge toolbox, and there's just so much you can do creatively once you kind of just discover it and hone those tools. But because we were so unfamiliar with it, it just made more sense for us to kind of take it from a musical angle.
Yeah, it's cool how you guys came to that decision to do that then. Like I could not even the drums, they sound like electronic, even though so I was very surprised when I saw that they were acoustic. And then what made you have the decision to bring an outside bassist in?
Mike was a friend of Christian's for a long time, and it just if again, it just feels like the more like musicians you can have on a track, the better it kind of feels when you can bring a player in. Like neither of us are bassists, but and we're not good at making like electronic bass lines. Like they still don't make sense to me. Anytime I like try and sit down with like a synthesizer or program and try and write a bass line, I don't get it. I have no idea what to do. It all just feels like awkward, or it ends up sounding really like boring or just not exciting. So to just take that element completely out of it and just say like, let's just let a bassist be a bassist on top of it. It's just, it gives the song groove, it gives it bounce, um, it gives it variation. It gives a lot of energy, and it does a lot of the work for you. Where with MIDI and programming, I feel like I'm constantly trying to make it sound like a musician played it. So if you can just have a musician come in and play it, it saves hours of just like nudging little like notes around to try and make it feel alive.
Yeah, Travis was saying that when I talked to him. He's like, I think on the last Elwin's album, we were talking about one song specifically, and they hired a saxophone player from LA.
Yeah,
And he's like, I
cool.
wish we would do that more often, or would have done that more often, just bringing in experts from different instruments.
It's so cool, and it completely like it could take the song in a whole new direction too, like especially if you find someone who's playing inspirationally, you can end up with this part where you're just like, there it is, there's the new hook of the song, let's just build it around that. It's really, if you can hook up with those musicians and find people who are excited by your music and want to contribute, it makes it all the better.
Do you think that new Tokyo Police Club will see that side of like going
It's
that more EDM or dancing direction more?
Well, not from my influence, but yeah, Graham and Dave have been working on the new record the last month in Toronto, and I'm going up in 2 weeks to record drums for it. And it's really cool. It's very it's different. It is because they've been building the tracks around like loops and like they'll kind of like play like a drum part and then loop it for like, here's the verse, here's the chorus, here's that. It does lean a little more in that direction, I would say. Not exactly like EDM, but kind of just, it's very modern, it's cool, it's different. I'm having to learn how to drum extremely metronomic to like try and slot really in with what they're creating out there. So I wouldn't say like EDM, but it's different, and it definitely has like flavors of EDM, I would say, in there, and like flavors of like some of the modern, not trap, but like some of the modern pop punk stuff. It almost reminds me of. Yeah, I don't know. It's like the songs are still coming out too, so it's just like every couple of days there's a new song that just kind of ends up in the Dropbox folder for us to discover and start playing around with. So it's it's been a very different process, but a very cool and rewarding one so far, um to be making a record this way, just with the current restrictions and everyone living in different places and not really being able to all be in a room together. So yeah, I'm not gonna say it's like from any of my influence the direction this record is taken, but I really love where this record is going right now, and I'm super excited to drum on it and play on it and see how it all kind of comes together.
Yeah, I was curious if now that you have your studio space there, if you guys were doing some recording there or even some parts and then bringing them forward when you guys all
We
got
were
together
starting
again.
to. Yeah, we were kind of starting to. We were like, I was starting to try and track some stuff, but the songs were changing too much at this point. Like it just kind of kept evolving. So I'd come track something and then there'd be a new version. And it's just, I do miss the element of feedback of being in the room together. It's like there's such a delay when you record something and then you send it back and then they're not working on that song right then, so then they would have to bring feedback and another day, and so it was just so slow. So it didn't really work out that way this time, just from a workflow standpoint. Um, but we're not ruling it out in the future, but it's nicer being in a room together. Like it's really nice that Graham and Dave have been able to kind of hole up together and start creating this record together. Um, the energy is just so different when you're there, and I'm really stoked to go in and just kind of get in on the mix of it. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It was very weird to try and like record on my own out here. It's yeah, I was second guessing myself a lot as well. I was just kind of like record something and then I'd be like 30 takes later, I'm like, I don't know, the kick drum still feels a little weird and the snare is just not quite on. You don't have someone there to kind of go like, wait, it's good. Like you had it 27 takes ago. It was fine. So I don't know, I'm still kind of getting used to recording myself. It's really nice having someone else in the room just kind of um, giving you feedback as you go.
Do you ever in that instance like show your wife things like that? I know whenever I record even a cover or like
Uh-huh.
original music, I'll bring it out to Katie and I'll be like, what do you think? And just like pick it apart.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it helps immediately help like playing it for someone else. It even like changes your perspective. Like as soon as
Yeah.
you're playing it to somebody else, all of a sudden you're listening through their ears and you're like, oh, that's where I went off track. Or, oh, it's actually pretty good. I've learned to like take breaks, taking breaks and like coming back and like listening again, like even an hour later, just to be like, oh, okay. No, there is something here. This is actually pretty good. Because when you're just doing takes endlessly and you're like, just one more take. I'm going to do one more take. And, it just felt a little weird. I think I can do one better. You can do that for hours and hours and hours and end up just like in the same spot.
Has there ever been a song that you did that record in the studio where you just got it down in like one take? You're like, perfect.
Well,
Or the complete opposite where you
the oh,
did a
there's
million
definitely been the
takes.
opposite. There's been a lot of the opposite. Oh yeah. But I think on the last record on TPC, what was the song? One of These Days, I feel like we did that one. I think it was maybe we did 3 takes and then we ended up using take 2 or something like that. And then on the deluxe EP that came out afterwards, we didn't even have full takes of those songs. The what was it? Early like we tracked properly, but the other ones, My Direction and Rubber Bands, we just had half finished takes that we did in there. So those ones I kind of pulled together when I mixed them after the fact and just kind of was like, well, this is what we got. So we'll just kind of run with that and piece it together. So yeah, I don't know. It's like I don't know if I've ever been like a one take wonder. I like I like I like having multiple takes. I love that we don't record to tape. It that feels like so much pressure to just be
Yeah,
like,
that
well,
would
there
be.
you go. What a crazy time. I mean, I guess you'd get used to it, but it's really nice. I find a lot of comfort knowing like we're not burning, takes out there. You can kind of just like feel into it and just get into it and experiment a little bit and try things and um, do a chorus again or try something different for a chorus. I love punching in. I love the modern recording setup and the way that you can just kind of play with it and have that freedom. And I mean, it does come with a downside if like you do 100 takes and just burn yourself out, but I don't know, it's nice to have technology on your side.
Yeah, I find that could be like even picking a instrument, like work with MIDI. You could just burn yourself out looking for, even one sound.
Oh my God. Yeah. Going through like presets and presets and presets and like, yeah, it's like, yeah, it's true. You do want to kind of have like a vision ahead of time, but it's also amazing that all those sounds exist, that all those are just like waiting there in our computers, that there's a
Yeah.
thousand presets that somebody created. And you can just be like, yeah, that's cool. That's amazing. I never would have created that sound myself.
Yeah. Do you typically, like, for example, on that Taylor Swift cover, I was like, man, that sounds awesome. Do you typically
Thank
try
you.
to create things from scratch in your space, or do you like what sort of equipment do
Yes.
you use in your space? Or a bit of both?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. I'll find if I'm using samples, I will manipulate them. I love using Ableton and the pitch shifting. Um, I'll pitch things down. I'll filter things. I love reversing things. I have a lot of hardware gear over here that I love running stuff through, just to like saturate it or distort it. I really love delay pedals. I've got a few over here that I really like using. Some kind of tape based ones. So I'll run things through that or the synths. I've got like all my mics just kind of set up all the time just so I can go down and just start recording and then mix things around. I love finding objects like you mentioned, like, yeah, the bag of golf tees that I used on
Yeah, it
that
was
song.
awesome.
I've used that a bunch now. Like that was just a I had I don't golf, but my wife's family does, and they have an annual golf tournament every year that I've been invited into. And so I just had a bunch of wooden golf tees around, and I was looking for like something to make like a cool, like weird, just smack kind of sound. And now I put it on everything. It's just like when you just do that, it's cool. When you do this, it's cool. When you shake it, it's cool. Um, yeah, I really like I got to sit in on a session with the studio drummer Aaron Sterling at like his home studio, and that guy is so creative with his sounds, and he just has like stuff all over the place. He's got a giant metal sheet that he shakes and it sounds like thunder. He's got like
That's
um
awesome.
yeah, a bunch of like Perrier cans on like a mobile that he like shakes around. And I really love his setup and his inventiveness. So when I started working on my space here, I really wanted to have that feel where it's just like everything is plugged in and ready to go, and you can kind of just grab whatever um and just see what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel I wish I should start experimenting like that more. I even saw, like, a lot of people will muffle their drum sounds or even their
Hmm.
snare, like the
Yeah.
Tame Impala style kind of thing. So
Yeah.
you can even buy like the ready-made ones of those now. Just put on your snare. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's
I've seen them.
ridiculous.
There's a market for it. I mean, it sounds cool. Whatever sounds cool, whatever like works. It's yeah,
It's
it's
just like
like
ready-made, ready to go. It's funny. It's like
yeah,
you could
just
do it with a cloth.
yeah, exactly. It's this one costs $40. Must sound better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you've got a great setup there, and you've been recording drums for a while. What's your setup like? What do you like to?
Oh, I just have a old Yamaha electric beside me.
Nice.
I don't remember what the brand it's called. It's all right. And then
Cool.
that's just like a Gretsch Catalina.
Beautiful. I love Gretsch Catalinas. Yeah.
And then I have
Nice
like
tight sound.
three mics. It's pretty small Sabian bundle recording kit.
Oh, Man, that works. 3 mics is great. It's like you have so much less phase issues when you're recording with less mics. You can really hone in on the sound. Like, I don't know, those like 3 or 4 mic like Beatles techniques from like the 60s are so cool. And they come up with such a perfect, like, it's amazing how well they work. And it's
Yeah.
you get such like punchy, deep sounds. And yeah, I love doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you get a lot more focus from the kick and stuff.
Totally. Yeah, it's just all right there.
Yeah, you obviously have a full mic setup there. What kind of drums
I have a
do you have?
right now. This is late 60s. I think it's like around 67 Ludwig kit that the
Oh, nice.
band bought. We bought that like right before we were recording Elephant Shell. So we used some of those on Elephant Shell. And then I've got on the snare right now, it's a 70s Superphonic. And then I've got a few other snares outside in there. I've got a modern Ludwig. Um, it's like a raw Black Beauty out there that I bought
On
when we were on.
Toronto.
I bought it in Portland, Oregon, from a drum shop there when we were on tour. I was looking for a Black Beauty for a while, and then I found this used one at a drum shop there, and the the uh, the salesperson was like, "Yeah, the drum from the Goo Goo Dolls used to like have this snare." And I was like, "Oh, really? You used to play it?" He's like, "No, I brought it back from Japan and just didn't want it. So do you want it?" And I was like, I guess, yeah, it's a great sounding drum, but it's kind of a weird sales pitch to be like, yeah, it's like the drummer from the Goo Goo Dolls, like
They
cast
didn't
off that he
want
got.
it.
Yeah, he was just like, he didn't really want it, but do you? And I did. I love it. It's like, it's one of my favorite snares. It's such like a deep, meaty sound. But
Yeah, I love the
uh,
Goo Goo Dolls.
I love the Goo Goo Dolls too. Yeah, I wish he had played the drum. I guess he hit it once and then I was like, meh, don't need it. I'm from the Goo Goo Dolls. I have a lot of snares.
It'd be cool if they like maybe recorded with that once. Then you gotta
It would have been cool.
you could be like, listen to this song, and now listen to me play it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe I'll reach out to him through some connection. Go just like, hey, I got your snare. Did anything ever happen with this one? Is there any story behind that, or did you really just bring it back from Japan and not like it?
Yeah, they've been going without a drummer for a few years now, right?
Oh, really?
Goo Goo Dolls. Yeah, I think
No
it's
way.
just John and I forget the bassist name.
Oh, huh. I haven't like listened to a lot of their like most recent stuff out there, but Dizzy Up the Girl was definitely in my CD changer a bunch in high school.
Oh, they I think during it's probably December 2020, they put out a Christmas album and
Oh, really?
it's pretty good.
Is it awesome?
Yeah, it's pretty great.
I'll queue it up for next year. I can always use new Christmas stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, more of a modern Christmas album, I guess. Like, I don't
Okay.
know. Me growing up, my folks would always listen to Neil Diamond Christmas. So it was nice to get more of a modern
Yeah, it's nice to
soundtrack.
move away from Neil. Neil's great. He's a classic, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
you don't have to just listen to the same 12 Christmas songs every year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted to pick your brain apart too for
Sure.
that the cover album that you guys made like
Yeah.
11 years ago.
Yeah, it was 11 years ago. It was the summer of 2011 that we were doing that. That was cool. It was like a really it wasn't in, well, it was intense at some points. I mean, it was like the cushiest version of an intense recording project. We got to do it at Red Bull Studios in Venice Beach, which is just bonkers. Is the
Like like
craziest.
Red Bull Red Bull.
Red Bull, Red Bull,
Yeah.
like
Like
Red
a
Bull.
studio.
the office had, I don't know, I don't think it still exists, but for a while, like Red Bull was heavily into like supporting music, and that was a big part of their brand. And so they built an incredible studio in their offices, um, like a huge live room, an amazing SSL desk. Like every year, they would just kind of go to the engineer and just be like, "Hey, what else do you need?" And he'd be like, "Could we have this, and this?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're Red Bull, sure, whatever." It's like, this is nothing to us. This is just a pet project. So just here's all the money, buy whatever you want. I think, oh, what's that band? Oh my god, I can't remember. But there's a there's a famous band who recorded, I think, they're a lot of their album there. Not the
Goo Goo Dolls.
Neighborhood. Yeah, the Goo Goo Dolls. Yeah, yeah. And they didn't like it, so they gave it away. Yeah, they trashed a whole album there. Um, no, I can't remember. Oh my god, the name's escaping me. But it's a beautiful studio. There's free Red Bull all over the place. It's just very well stocked. There's a half pipe ramp in the offices that you can just go hang out on. There's a gym there. It was incredible. So we got to hole up there for 10 days and do these 10 songs, um, where we wanted to do, yeah, one song from every year in like the aughts, for starting from 2000. I think it started in 2000 through 2000. Was it 2001 through 2010? Yeah, that makes sense. 2001 through 2010. And we recorded the song every day, and then we would release it the next day in the morning, and then we'd start the next song and release that. So it was like, it was a lot, like, to kind of get out, because we were mixing it and mastering it. Like, it had to be just like the whole thing done and ready to put out by the end of the day. And then we'd go home and pass out, and then we'd get into the studio next day and start again. um
You guys would like write it, like say you wrote it yesterday, it would come out today.
yeah, I mean, we had like a little bit of like, I think enough time has passed that doesn't matter. We kind of like we were like choosing the songs uh every day, but we had chosen the songs kind of like previously, so we had a little time to kind of rehearse them ahead of time. But really, we did like the whole thing kind of like within there. We would go in and just start tracking drums and then bass and guitar. We try and do some live takes. Yeah, it was, yeah, I don't know, it was a cool experience. It was a lot of fun. It pushed us a lot as musicians. It pushed us as arrangers to kind of step outside of our element and kind of hear what the band could sound like in different ways. um, I did mushrooms for the first time, which was amazing there. It was just like it was a beautiful time. And I loved the 2 weeks that we got to spend there.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
Yeah, it
That's
was
what
awesome.
that that's what I was wondering about the whole process. I was like, because you guys were like on such a high, like career wise. I'm like, was that like a record push or something? Or did you guys just want to have fun with that?
It was kind of both. It was giving us something to put out, a year and a half after Champ, because we had we hadn't started working on a new record then. And we, I mean, Force Field took forever between Champ and that. It was like 4 years of starting. I think we started in 2011, like late 2011 after that. But we were also just kind of like burnt out and not ready to work on new music yet. We had been touring nonstop on Champ. So it was kind of just a way to do something that felt less pressure than starting a whole new album. Um, and just to hopefully give us some like inspiration, I think, to start working on a new album.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. There's like the such a wide variety of genres for the songs you guys picked
Yeah.
too. Like the Party in the USA one, I always loved even when it came out.
That was the one I was on
And then
mushrooms. That was it was great. It was really cool to like consider those songs as well. Cause I mean, pop music was at such a high at that point as well. Like that was right as, Katy Perry was putting out like Teenage Dream and I don't know, it was a really cool time for pop music. So it was kind of nice to, especially back then, because pop music wasn't like indie was so separate from pop music, and it was just starting to kind of accept that it could be pop music. um like it was like 2006, 7, 8, like was very, it felt like very like stiffly like indie is not pop, so you're going to try and do things counter to what pop music could be. But kind of around the end of that, like when Passion Pit were coming out and bands that were like indie and pop, it was like they're embracing it in a different way, and they're embracing their catchiness and hooks and the ability to like just really sit in song structure and allow a pop song to just be a pop song. So I think recording Champ, which is kind of like a poppier album, and then Force Field, which feels like even more of a poppy album, if I'm using, to use that term. I think that album kind of gave us a bridge and permission to explore that the other side of like the indie rock genre, if that makes sense.
yeah, it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hate to like put bands in I don't know, a category like that. Like I find that you guys' albums are so diverse. You could be like,
Thanks.
oh,
Yeah.
it's kind of indie, it's kind of pop, and then like you guys' first EP or it was a full. I guess it's an album.
It's yeah, I guess it is like once we added like bonus tracks and stuff, it was a full
Yeah.
statement. But yeah, it's an EP. It was like is everything we had at that point. Yeah.
What's a cool story that's happened to you touring all over the world the last like 15 years,
Um,
or something very
I don't know if it's like
memorable?
we got in 2014 when the band was when we were playing in Washington DC, we were invited for a private tour of the White House, which was super cool. It
That's
was
super
like
cool.
it was so cool. It was like two staff members were fans of the band. They reached out and said, "Hey, do you guys like want to come for a tour of the White House?" And we drove like we got up super early because we were in North Carolina the night before. Um, so I mean, it was like a solid like I think like 5 hour drive or something. I don't know. We got up at like 4 in the morning because we had to be there at like 9 a.m. like sharp to like get in through the gate. There's only like you couldn't be late for it. There's like a 5 minute window in which you'd be like admitted into the through the security, and they had your pass there at that time. But like we got up, we missioned it there, we got in. Most of us got in. Our tour manager Donnie didn't get in because we couldn't find parking, so he circled the White House and our crappy van and trailer, probably like drawing suspicion from every Secret Service person in the area. But yeah, we got a nice tour. It was nice. It was super nice of him to do that for us. But yeah, it was cool. We got to see in all the different rooms. They took us in the elevator. They told us not to press any buttons because someone might get sniped if we do. We saw the guy who has the nuclear football codes with the briefcase walking through the hall. We got to try a White House cupcake because there was an event going on that day. It was like it was like a pretty amazing experience. We didn't see any of the Obamas, but we heard they were upstairs. So It was, yeah,
Is it a good cupcake?
it was an amazing cupcake. It was such a good cupcake. There, I think they were doing a Medal of Honor ceremony, and that was part of the refreshments afterwards. But it was a damn good cupcake. Yeah,
That's an awesome experience.
yeah, it was super. Yeah, it's like it's funny when like weird things like that kind of come up when you're just like, huh, all right, I don't know. This is if it wasn't for the band, I wouldn't be here right now, peeing in a White House urinal. Like it's I don't know. It's yeah. So yeah, that was yeah, cool.
That's wild. Yeah, I always usually like to end off asking people if they have any cool tips for drummers, and then also just give you the floor if you want to like shout out any upcoming tours or projects or anything you got going on.
Sure, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like tips. I mean, honestly, it is like just relax. Like, and that's like the one thing that I'm like learning like more and more is just like relax. And it's like relax, breathe, like I don't know. It's kind of like similar to like meditation. Like if the more that you can kind of like try to get out of your head and get out of the way of the music when you're playing, the better it feels. And that's something I've been trying to learn for the last 20 years. Like, just like, how do I get out of my head when I'm playing this song right now and just allow it to happen? How do I stop thinking about what my limbs are doing and just let it happen? How do I not think about something stupid when I'm like trying to play the song right now and like let my mind drift, like, and just like let it happen? I don't know. It's just, it's not even advice or a tip. It's just something that like when I can get there, it feels amazing. And then when I'm drifting from it, it's a little thing that I can kind of like, pull me back in and make sure I don't screw up a fill or something like that. Or yeah, lose place. I don't know, just clear out the space and just, yeah, just let it happen. Just let the song happen. Just let the performance happen. Let the beat happen. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's
That's
it's like
solid
it's
advice. Even
yeah,
like,
I guess. Yeah.
do you find that's probably more so playing shows? Like sometimes you might walk out on stage with like a lot in your a lot on your mind.
It's everything now when I'm playing. It's like it definitely playing shows and like recording is like where the nerves are up and I'm most likely to get like frustrated or in my head or start drifting. But even when I'm just like jamming on my own right now, like there's times when I'll like work on stuff, but if I'm working on a technique or a rudiment or a fill or a part, it's the same thing. Like even if I'm really like focusing in on it, it's I'm trying to internalize it and just kind of like bring it in and then just like let my limbs do the work and not think about it so much. That's the goal at least. And like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it feels awkward and frustrating. But when I can keep bringing myself back there, it all sounds better, it all feels better, it all flows better. Yeah.
Yeah, when you were saying that to me for that me covering your song, you're like, "Oh, you seem really relaxed when you play." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I I guess so." I don't I
You
don't
did. Yeah,
focus on
you
it
look
too much.
it's good. It's not, I mean, I guess it's not even a focus thing. It's like a lack of it's a lack of focus. It's like making space for it to just kind of just exist and
I
just
feel
let
like that
the
might be it's probably because I've been listening to that song for so many years, like 16, 17 years.
man, when you can internalize a song that way and just like let it like be a part of you and not think about it and just perform, it's such a beautiful thing. It's so nice. It's so nice to play a song without like really thinking about it. It's that's like my favorite like feeling, and just when you're like, man, I'm really in this song right now. Like it's my favorite. Yeah. It's such a perfect like flow state.
Yeah, I imagine it's probably like playing old songs that you probably feel that way. Playing newer songs might be the opposite, a little more stressful.
Yeah, definitely. Like the first time you play a song live, I hate it so much. I feel awful about it. Like it's just like no matter what, even if it's like the easiest song, it still just feels like like a tight like weight on my chest. And I mean, it's a huge relief when you like get over it and it's like, okay, cool, we survived, we did it, we played the song. But man, it destroys me ahead of time. I like keep looking at the set list. I'm like, fuck, it's like in 3 songs, I'm gonna have to do that song. Great. But man, once you get over it and you play it the first couple times and you start getting into it, it's like the third time you play a song live is great. It always feels so good. But the first time sucks. I hate it so much.
Yeah, it's new and fresh, but then you probably get into the groove.
Yeah, once you get in that groove, it feels beautiful.
And then I don't want to keep you too long. If you want to shout out any projects or anything you
Oh
want to tell
man.
people to check out, maybe.
I don't have anything like I can really talk about right now. I did a theme song for a new Apple Kids show that's coming out, but I don't know when it's coming out and I'm not allowed to talk about it. So when
That is
so I
cool
can't
though.
plug it. But I'm super excited for it. It's gonna be it's a really cool show. It's a really fun show. I really loved doing the theme song. It was like an incredible experience to work with the people who I was able to on that show, but I can't talk about it and I don't know when it's coming out. So at some point it'll be out and I can't wait for people to hear it.
That's awesome. I have I watch Apple TV all the time. I love all the Snoopy stuff that's on there now.
The Snoopy stuff's so good. My friend wrote for some of that show. It's
Really,
so
that's
great.
awesome.
Yeah, Aaron Eves. He's an incredible writer.
I was saying to Katie, I was like, the whole soundtrack sounds just like the Vince trio. It's amazing.
I know. It's so nice. I was watching it with my older daughter the other day, and it's like it's such a flashback. I'm a huge fan of the Peanuts, like cartoons and Snoopy and Charlie Brown Christmas. We get to watch every year. It's such a funny it's such a funny show.
Yeah,
Like even just like the original comic strip, like it's so dry and subtle, but like so precise as well when they hit the punchlines. I love that. Yeah. Anyway, I don't have anything to promote. The new Tokyo record will come out at some point. Don't know when. Can't really talk about it. uh, I
I'll probably like put this out when you're recording, I guess, probably in Toronto, next
yeah. In 2 weeks,
2 or 3 weeks.
I'll be up there. Yeah, that'll be great, man. I'm really excited. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. It was a pleasure talking to you and get to know you.
Yeah, you too. I'm super excited I got to talk with you.